War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here for Auburn-related stuff, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. It's what we'll talk about here on this YouTube channel, our podcast network, anything and everything between that we do. We appreciate you stopping in with us to hang out with us on a very exciting week for Auburn football, especially. And we're going to be breaking down in this live stream the Auburn versus Penn State whiteout game and the implications of that, what we think is going to happen. Going to probably throw down some predictions and a final score prediction before everything's said and done tonight. I know a lot of you are raring to get into that type of stuff and want to already start throwing down your predictions. You can do that. This is one of those shows where I just know it's going to be a little bit crazy and we're going to have a lot of fun together. So we're just going to kind of fly off the cuff and have a little bit of fun tonight. So that's what's on the agenda tonight. Whenever we get together, we can kind of bounce around a little bit and talk about a few other things, but we're going to try to stay mainly on topic tonight. Auburn versus Penn State and everything in between that's out there. So a couple things that you can do for me as we're getting started here. A lot of you are assembling in the chat window already. Thank you guys so much for being here. Even if you're on the replay, make sure you smash that like button. It does help the stream out. Subscribe, notification bell if you haven't done that, if you want to be available for more live streams and things like that. And the big thing you can do right now, post where you're watching from, city, state, international, a War Eagle, or a go. What does Penn State say? What do they even say? A go if you're a Penn State fan, or if you're just a random other fan out there that somehow found our stream, you, I guess, can do whatever your little chants and cheers are too. But let me know who's here, city, state, international, War Eagle. And love to know who I'm talking to tonight. A couple people have already done that. Jason says, well, Jason Barksdale. I thought it was going to be Barksdale, a city, but he's saying his last name. Ryan's already here. Chris Warden, Auburn 2030 late grind it out score from Tank to seal it. Probably not a bad prediction. Honestly, it's probably not. Jaden, you did finally catch it live. Corey, good to see you. And look at Vernon. My goodness, Vernon. Vernon with the super chat. I need like a bell that I can ring or something like that. Thank you, Vernon, so much. That means a lot. You have been a very big advocate of my little channel ever since I kind of started using this a little bit more often. So thank you so much. So you're too kind, very generous. Jaden says Auburn 24, Penn State 3. Don't know if I agree necessarily with that. We'll talk about that in a little second. Excuse me. Vernon's calling in from Atlanta. Enterprise, Leeds, Alabama, Pell City, and of course, Spooky Buffalo out of Iowa, our resident Iowa Auburn fan that calls in a lot. You don't see too many Iowa Auburn fans, do you? It's always pretty interesting, isn't it? Let's see. Your son had a great time down in the Plains for the first game. Listen, I will say this over and over again. There is something special about experiencing a football game, not only just through the eyes of someone new, but through the eyes of a child, and not just a football game, but the Auburn experience. It's really crazy, and it gives me chills even just talking about it. I'm serious. Like I'm getting like a chill running down my back. It's not just because my fan's on over my head and realizing you can see the blades going in the background, so that's a little embarrassing. But it really is something unique. I experienced it when I was with Dee Ford. If you know her story, the British lady who got confused for Dee Ford, the football player. I got to experience her first time, her first tumors, all that kind of stuff. It was crazy. So really cool experience, even if you can re-experience it through someone else's eyes. War Eagle from Tuscaloosa. Woo, you are brave, sir. What a brave soul being in that realm. 24-20. Now, this is a score that I probably lean more towards. And I'm going to be honest with you all. I have not settled on my score yet. You guys are going to help me with that tonight. I need you to help me convince me where I need to fall at for Auburn and Penn State, who's going to score what, who's going to win. And I'm going to set up here in a second kind of where I'm coming in to this game. And that maybe set like a precedent of where we might be heading. Pelham. And we got a lot of people sharing when they graduated from Auburn. Vernon's from 02. Wow, man. I know I'm losing my hairline, but that's still a lot younger than me. Bet the under. probably a good idea. I'm not a gambler, or I know that you can just pay attention to those things and not really gamble, but I get that might be a good call for this matchup. Corey brings up a great point, and I think this is something that we definitely need to discuss. I don't think that you should put a lot of stock into this as an Auburn fan for the Penn State game to think that this is going to truly affect, in a negative way, the team. I think personally, it's actually worse if all these rumors are true. This is going to fire them up even more to make their statement now with Coach Franklin while he's still here against the SEC. So I know that it seems like it might be working in Auburn's favor for these rumors about Coach Franklin going to USC might work in our favor. In my view, not necessarily. I think it would be a mistake for us to view it that way. That's just kind of how it's. Now, let me just say this. Coach Franklin is an excellent coach. It takes a man to do what he did with Vanderbilt and make them into a respectable football program. And then to get hired from Vanderbilt to another Power 5 head coaching job, hired away from Vanderbilt for another Power 5 job, and one of Penn State's caliber, that says a lot. And not only that, he took on a job of rebuilding after everything they went through with their scandals and everything like that. And he's maintained their competitiveness. So from a deserving standpoint, does he deserve to go to USC? Yeah. Is it the better place for him? I don't know that situation. I don't know Penn State's situation. I can see a world where Penn State is a little bit more of a difficult job than USC right now, especially when you see what they've got to contend. It's almost like Auburn has to contend with Alabama every year. Penn State has to contend with Ohio State every year and Wisconsin and all that kind of stuff. But just something to think about, with that whole thing. Obviously, it will affect. They'll be talking about it on game day, I'm sure. We got to talk about game day. Whew. We got a lot of things to talk about tonight. Frederick, it has been a minute. I remember you from a few streams back ago, but we haven't had a chance to catch you live. Glad you're here tonight. Good to see you. Rise Life is in the house. Whoops, there he is. Michael Trott says 31-27 Auburn over Penn State. Auburn will leave Penn State with a W. Book it. I wouldn't book it if I were you. Would I feel confident that Auburn can go in there and get this win? Yes. I feel a lot more confident than I did in preseason. I'll be honest with you. But don't be so overconfident. This is going to be a tough one for Auburn to get for many reasons. The USC job won't affect Franklin at all. I don't think it will. He's too good of a coach to let it affect him. He's probably, if I'm a betting man, Coach Franklin has sat down with his team and said, you guys are going to hear these rumors because my agent and all, as they should, whenever your name is tossed into a discussion, you should entertain those conversations. Just see what you can get, maybe use that for leverage for your job. That would be an unwise business decision for them not to do it. So he's probably been upfront with the guys and say, don't let this unfocus you from what the task is at hand this week. This is happening. Like, these discussions are being had. That doesn't mean I'm going anywhere. Now, he could be lying, but who knows? You can tell Penn State has a nice quarterback. We need to stop him from firing those deep shots because I can see it in his head already. All right, well, let's talk about that. And then Jaden asked Sam Clifford a nice quarterback. I will. Here's where I'm at on Clifford. I've tried to take in every bit of information that I could this week for this game about Clifford. I walked into this hearing a lot of the coach speak and having a lot of respect for this quarterback. He's a veteran. He's been around for a while there. But then you hear the fans talk about it, the Penn State fans, and they've been everywhere on my channel too, just coming in like droves. They are amped for this week, and they should be. But they almost seem, and I said this to one guy who was commenting on a recent video I just did about the Penn State Auburn matchup. They said, or at least what they described seemed like a relationship a lot of fans of ours have with Bo Nix. Now, that's not me. I'm Bo Nix camp all the way. but it sounded a lot similar to that. So it seems like he's a guy that has some tendencies, maybe in the big moments, to let them down a little bit. If you don't think this guy, if that's the case, has this game circled, that's another reason you should be intimidated. He's a veteran guy with a good arm and can use his legs when he needs to. If that doesn't sound like Bo Nix, I don't know who will. So just keep that in mind when you think about the quarterback situation. It really is going to be probably the X factor in this game. And if I'm looking at this situation, with whoever quarterback does the best is probably going to be a major X factor for who wins the game. And I know that seems a little redundant, right? I mean, obviously, you're like, Kyle, come on. That's like the easiest take you can have. But I really mean that. I think that it's going to be. Hey, by the way, you know what I just remembered, and I meant to say this at the beginning. We're going to take, whenever the headphones on, that's when I take calls. You don't have to take advantage of this. I just want to put it up there, and I'll kind of remind you and drop it in since it's not at the top of the chat throughout the night. I'm putting it in there right now. So you can click that link. It will allow you to come up on video or not on video, just voice only too. If you take advantage of it, just be patient. I'll bring you in when I can. And please behave yourself because this is a live show and don't make me dump you. But it's there if you'd like to talk about it or talk to me personally and be live here on the air, audio or video. Auburn versus Minnesota is what I'm thinking of for a comparison in this game. It's bad, but unfortunately I'm seeing it in my head. I think that one has a lot of differences, but I understand the similarities. Big Ten, that type of team, that type of makeup of, type of athletes they have there, just big, Midwest guys, especially on the offensive and defensive lines. It still is a little bit different to me. Minnesota had a little bit more potent of an offense, I think, than Penn State currently does. But that's just kind of my feeling on it. USC is not going to make a move on a coach this early on in the search. Not going to happen. Well, that's probably true. But if you don't think they're not having those conversations, they are. They would, especially if they're wanting a guy like Franklin. If they're just really going to want to lock him up and say, "Hey, you're a guy. We're not going to make big waves about this. Let's just get you through the season. No matter what happens, you're our guy." I think that'd be the smartest thing for them. Just let the speculation roar. And create buzz for your program. Franklin would stay at Penn State because he's from Pennsylvania unless USC throws a boatloads of money at him. Yeah, that's a great thing, but here's the thing. Brian Harsin, our head coach, was an Idaho guy, was a Boise State guy, and he left his alma mater for us. Now, I know you're comparing apples and oranges, Boise State versus Penn State. I get it. And he's going to Auburn from Boise State as opposed to what would be almost in some ways a lateral move. Those conversations are being had. I just don't know how much of a, for lack of a better word, a homer he is in terms of wanting to stay home. Travorce, if you're talking about the Penn State fans being worse than UGA fans, I don't know about that. They don't bark, do they? I made this video this week just talking about, the Penn State fans have come out of the woodwork saying that Auburn's not ready for this type of atmosphere. Disagree. I made this. If you haven't checked it out, please do. And I gave you 5 stadiums in the SEC that Auburn sees, at least on 4 of them on a regular basis, of why they are well prepared for this atmosphere. Doesn't mean it's going to be the same. Doesn't mean it's not going to be intimidating. But to say that we've never seen anything like that, numbers do not equate to your uniqueness, what you do with those numbers. I would contend that all 87,000, 88,000, depending on standing room only, probably 90,000 really in standing room only, are just as formidable as 107, 108,000 that Penn State has in a whiteout. Oh man, behind now. Let's get up here and see what's going on. I'm convinced we have a chance to beat Penn State. Watch both their games twice this week, I believe, and Auburn and love it. Auburn wins by 7. That's kind of where I'm leaning on right now. Really heavy in terms of my breakdown in my score, what that score is going to be. Again, you guys are helping me kind of through this discussion tonight, kind of make that final pick. I'm seeing a lot of scores that people want to throw out in the 20s for both teams. That feels a little... It's not that it feels high. I just don't know what's going to happen when these two teams collide. Because if this was Auburn taking on Rutgers from the Big Ten, I would say they're probably going to put up big numbers on them. But this is not. This is a Power 5 program, a top 10 level team pretty regularly that is going to present quite a challenge for Auburn. Unbeaten Lake, if the offensive line communicates well during this game, makes few mistakes, we will win. So let me not retract my statement, but add on to it. And I said that the X factor is the quarterback play. By proxy, offensive line will dictate really what happens in this game, especially for Auburn. We saw them have a great first game. You hardly ever talked about them, and that's what you want to do with an offensive line. Second game, especially that first half, we really found some things and started talking about how the protection broke down a little bit, some old habits, but they quickly cleaned those up, as you should, against a team like Alabama State. But how does that translate against a team like Penn State on a whiteout game, nighttime, first time in a way as a team, as a unit? You don't know how all these things are going to play. Coach Harsin even said in his press conference this week, he's really interested to find out how his team responds to little things that happen, not even on the field, but simply in just traveling and preparing for this week. How they respond will tell him how this game's going to go. If the bus is late, I think he said, how does the team respond to that? How do we move forward past that? How does my staff respond to that? Auburn's learning a lot this week. Are we learning too much is the question right now. Fix the prediction. Auburn 21, Penn State 14. That might be something that I kind of feel a little bit better about, but we'll see. The key to win is Bo Nix. He can't make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. And that's not, I take Bo Nix out of it. Smoke Monday is going to make mistakes. How do we respond to those mistakes? And how big of a mistake is it? If it's a pick six, or not a pick six, that would be very bad. If it's an interception, get back up, figure out why it happened, and don't let it happen again. But don't dwell on, you can't make mistakes. If Auburn goes into this game scared to make a mistake, they will lose. I promise you. Don't be afraid. What's the saying? Well, there's, you could take it many different ways. The Michael Jordan quote, I've missed but so many shots in my lifetime, and that's why I succeed. That kind of thing, that type of mentality. Spooky says this will be a defensive game. The defining stat will be the turnover difference, basically a staring contest. Whoever blinks first. Wow, what a boring game. No, you're not wrong. Coach Harsin, if you remembered after his first half interview coming off the field, he said is one thing that he didn't coach speak about. He said, we've got to win the turnover battle. And we did by the end of it. So that's a really, really important thing that has to happen. And if Auburn does win the turnover battle, I think they win the game. A lot of other factors there too, but so there's that. Let's see here. Bo has to take care of the ball, doesn't revert back to his bad habits, such as bailing the pocket. But that's also, on the offensive line, too, to give him a reason not to bail from the pocket. And it goes both ways. I'm not just trying to say it's the offensive line folks, and we shouldn't also say it's not Bo Nix's fault. They've got to work together. If the problems happen, and they will, fix them. Don't dwell on them. Keep moving forward. 2019 game still haunts you for Florida. I was there. Yes, it does haunt me. It was awful. For the Florida-Bama game, Florida's given me no reason to think they can beat Bama. So, yeah. I hate to say it, guys, but, until a team shows me that they can beat Alabama, has the potential to do that, I'm going to say Alabama. And it pains me to say that. Lee's in the house. Good to see you. Lee, I feel like we have missed you a couple times on last live streams, but good to see you. Their defense isn't bad at all. Talking about Penn State, but haven't played on an offense with the strengths we have. Both Penn State's offensive tackles are decent, but are suspect. Moultrie and Hall should shine. Yeah, that's been a good thing to see. I think one of the more pleasant things was seeing that the defensive line really didn't miss a beat after losing names like Big Cat Bryant, Tyron Truesdale. Some guys have stepped up, some of those transfers. So that should make you feel really good. So here's, just kind of put things in perspective, especially and this is me talking to myself too. Okay. So I know some of you who've been here for a while probably heard me say some things that I was questioning way back in the offseason. A lot of the questions have at least gotten answers. Are they going to be a big problem? Now, 2 games against inferior opponents. Somebody said it already. Yeah, that's what you're using to compare, but that's still pretty, you've got some good things to work from. This is a measuring stick for Auburn. We're going to really find out a lot of things about this team. Yes, they are going to blitz the whole game. The offensive line and quarterback for Penn State are also going to be trying to get our guys to jump off sides, as they did a lot during the Bama State game. That was probably one glaring concern from that game. Let's see here. Again, if you want to call in, I'll remind you again. Posted it right there. There is the link that you can click. It can be on video or just audio only. There's 2 options there. Give it a shot if you want. Anytime the headphones are on, you can call in. Let's see here. But doesn't want to go down in history as the quarterback that couldn't win the big game. There's a lot of those, so he wouldn't go down in history as that. For modern memory, yes, but just like time heals all wounds, that would be forgotten even if that was the case. Imagine if we blow out Penn State. Yeah, so anything is possible, right? Is it going to happen? No. And I will be the first to come on here when we get back together. Well, actually, if we blow them out, so again, I'll say this again at the end of the show. We're going to do a fan reaction show, just blatantly, just everybody just spilling their guts after the game. Right after, it's going to be late here on this YouTube channel, and we'll do our Monday night walk through stats, grade, and all that stuff as well. So there'll be 2 opportunities for you to come on and remind me, Kyle, if we blow them out, you were wrong. So hold me to it. But we're not going to blow them out. It would be lit though. Wonder if we use the spread a little bit more in this game. I think the coaches will use whatever they feel the team is most comfortable with. This is a game about not getting out of your element, doing playing to your strengths. And then if you do get a cushion, say they do get out to a lead, Auburn does, maybe. I don't know. They might. Then you can be a little bit more creative. But let's stay in the hole. Just focus on what you do well. And we run the ball very well. My Auburn brain is telling me crazy things. Well, that's what it means to be an Auburn fan, right? We're a little bit crazy, a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I love it. Oh, that's a good point. The special teams play, really big factor this last game. Anders looks very consistent, right? He looks very, what I would call reliable, and doesn't seem to have too many issues. That was just a weird fluke with that missed extra point. But I really think we're solid there. Punter is one thing that I think we haven't had enough of a chance to see how good Oscar Chapman is and where he's at this year, because he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to really test that. He had one really good punt in terms of distance wise last game. So that could be a question mark, right? Kicker, we have the athletes for kick and punt returns. So that's, the blocking seems pretty good there. And that one little bloop thing with Alabama State, I'm not just trying to push it aside, but it's so weird. Just put it over there. Just forget about it. Oh, wow. I'm really behind here, guys. I promise we're going to get caught up here. We need to be the aggressor in this game. Don't wait on Penn State to throw the first punch. Go out, throw in haymakers. I feel like the last regime played the big games too close to the vest early. Well, and you can come out and be the aggressor, but if you don't have the capability to actually capitalize on that, but you also don't have the competency to pull off those haymakers, then you're really just shooting yourself in the foot. So it could have been a case of the previous staff just knowing we didn't have the capability to do that at the time, which if you looked at the results, probably was the case. You know, the good thing about Coach Harsin, he's this is a free year, right? Barring a collapse and scandals, he's not losing his job. So he can kind of come out and do whatever he wants. So you may get what you want, Lee. Um, so Grindworks. I'm not picking on you. I hate these type of questions because we're assuming we're gonna win and all that stuff. I hate them. And I'm not trying to be mean, but like I'll answer it, but like need to focus on the here and the now. If we were to win, it depends on how you do it. If you blow them out, then obviously you're probably going to launch yourself into the top 10. Um, I say that if it's a close game, like everybody expects it, and Auburn gets the win, you're looking at Auburn inside the top 15, Penn State probably sitting just behind them after this. But again, then you got to talk about how the other teams did too. I shouldn't have said I hate those type of questions, but it's just I've actually bought into Coach Harsin's thing too. Just focus on being 1-0 this week. I'm trying to do that myself because if we do that, then I just start speculating and going down that rabbit hole, and then I get crazy too. So you're just playing into my crazy side, Grindworks. I can tell we're executing on special teams. Glad that we don't have to give up. I'm glad we don't have that don't give up mentality. I got you. What time? So the schedule here on this channel for football season, barring craziness, life. Every Monday night, we're going to do at 8:00 a breakdown, a grading of each unit and stuff like that, kind of tying the bow on whatever game we're talking about. So Penn State next week. Wednesday nights, we do our previews of. Sorry, I got a call coming in right now. I'm trying to manage that. We'll do what we're doing now, our preview of the game. And then on away games, we did a test this week because I wasn't able to go to Alabama State. We'll do right after the game a live stream, usually a few minutes after, maybe 30 minutes or something like that. Just to initial reactions, want to hear what you guys have to say. Not really diving in deep into the stuff, more of just a reaction. So that's kind of the normal schedule. 2 main live streams with a third potential for away. Let's see here. The Philly special is coming this game. Okay. Let me back up here. Back up. Way up. Way up. I feel like I'm way behind. Do you think they'll run both quarterbacks to throw off Penn State? I think if we run both quarterbacks, that means Bo is not having a great game. So I don't want to see that personally. No, I don't think that'll be part of the strategy. I don't think it should be. Bo's our guy until he proves he can't do it. And we need to really we need to all buy into that too. That's kind of just how I feel about it. These days come down to who runs the ball better. I like our chances with Tank and Hunter. Yeah, you got to feel good with it. I'm sad. I haven't heard about Sean. I've just kind of accepted the fact that he's not going to be available for this game. He would have been a nice X factor for this game too. Let's see. Are you talking about Carlson? Yes, he hit the 55-yarder for the Raiders to put them into overtime. Yes, he did. Legatron. Auburn's going to shock the world. I hope so. A shock would not be a win. A shock would be a blowout. I don't think you should look at an Auburn win as a shock, personally. Oh, let's see. Gameplay hasn't failed yet. Shows growth. It's about execution. That's a fair statement. Again, got to remember this is against teams that we should do these things to. So I'll be interested to see how that translates to this week. Auburn in the top 15 would be a beautiful sight, but I don't like us being too high too quickly. I would hope we'd be there probably 2 games from now, and then kind of just eke our way in to the top 10, and then finally at the end of the season, if we're having an incredible year, just do crazy things. Great question. Let's all answer this right now. Auburn Live has a great question. How many yards does Tank Bigsby have? I feel like he'll have at least 1, maybe 2 breakaway runs, even if they're not for touchdowns, for like 30 yards or so. I'm going to say he sits right at about 120, 130 yards. Kind of and a touchdown is kind of what I'm feeling. I'm questioning things. That's kind of how I feel about it. What do you guys say? I'll get to some of your answers here in just a second. Kenneth Buxton in the house. He's a channel member. By the way, if you want to become a channel member, you can do so by hitting that join button down below. $1 is all it takes. And you can also find links in the description. It's at the top of the chat window. There's several ways for you to find it. If you want to take that a step further and become a Booster Club member, still just $1 for that as well to start off with. Different levels of things you get. Doug, if you're watching this, I sent you an email. Go check that out. But thank you, Kenneth, for being a channel member. Oh, we got a Penn State fan in the house. Wish both teams nothing but the best. Just hope for the entertainment. So, Gavin, answer this for me. Do you honestly think that Auburn hasn't seen anything comparable to what they're about to experience at the whiteout game? I say they have. The program has this team. That's questionable. Bo Nix has in the swamp. LSU, UGA, Alabama. But I'm just curious if you really think that, because I found that fascinating how Penn State fans are hyped. They took that hype another level and said Auburn hadn't seen nothing like this yet. And I'm like, well, in terms of a uniqueness to it, yes. Not many teams can pull off the full white of the stadium. We can't even coordinate that well. Remember that time we tried to stripe the stadium? Didn't go so. It was fine, but it wasn't that great. All right, let's see. War Eagle from Birmingham. Jarquez Hunter is going to be the key player. 300 yards rushing. Probably you could get 100. If you get 150 yards out of Tank, maybe another we'll say 80 or so from Jarquez. Maybe another 30 from Bo, and you get one of those weird running / pass plays where it's like a reverse. Then maybe they get there. Maybe they do. All right, Tank for 120, 125 Tank, 80 for Hunter. That's got potential. It really does. Let's see. 125 Hunter, 97. Do you think Penn State Stadium is the top 3 loudest? That's all. Let's see. Do you think Penn State Stadium is in the top 3 loudest? That's all I've been hearing about is how loud it will be. From what I've experienced, there's going to be very few things that top LSU, Florida. I feel like Ohio State would be louder personally. That's just me. I don't know why I say that. Top 5, they might have a case. Top 10, definitely. Just sheer numbers alone. But I don't know about top 3. But they sure do act like it, right? They sure do act like they've got a top 3. Joe's in the house, channel member and Booster Club member. Thank you, sir. Am I the only one that has seen nice things or said nice things? Maybe that's what you mean. No, I think they're going to be great. I think they're, with a little bit of cockiness this week, I think. But hey, it's game week. Have fun with it. Just if you dish it out, be willing to take it back. That's all I say. Harson seen bigger games. Has he seen bigger games? Yeah. He was part of that Boise State, Oklahoma Magic in the Fiesta Bowl a long time ago. So, yeah, he's seen bigger games. But has he been a head coach for a bigger game? That's a good question. If we control the line of scrimmage and don't shoot ourselves in the foot with penalties, I think we have a 70% chance of winning. Yes, I agree with that. I do. I don't think Penn State has seen a G5 offense before. Not sure what that is. Hunter's a beast, and he runs like he isn't scared, and that's what I like. Now, that's a great point, because there's something to be said for that, right? For Jarquez Hunter, he's a freshman. He wants to prove himself. He wants to stake his claim on this season, especially. He runs with a purpose and a recklessness to some degree, which is a good thing in this where we find ourselves at right now. We need a little bit of recklessness. All right, if you do want to call in, please don't be shy. StreamYard link right there. Let me know what you think. Let's see here. All right, Gavin says, Gavin's our Penn State fan. He says, I've been to Death Valley. Nothing compares to that hostile place. Now, are we talking about LSU or Clemson? I think we all know we're talking about LSU. Clemson likes to pretend they're Death Valley. Then again, that was Burrow's season. But that being said, Auburn should be used to Penn State's environment. So I listen, this is what I love. I love objectiveness. I love you just being honest and saying that Auburn's probably seen something similar. Doesn't mean it's not going to be hard to battle against. Yeah, LSU is... I wouldn't wish LSU on my worst enemy. It's going to take a long time for me to convince myself, much less my wife, to go back there. Tank 140 with 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver. Going to have a good game. Yep. Gavin says Ohio State's not louder. I put Big House over. Wow, Michigan over Ohio State. Well, they sure don't utilize it well, do they? Ohio State gets more out of their, I guess, less craziness than Michigan does, apparently. You know, my dad, my late father, got a chance to go to the Big House, and he told me, he was like, even empty, man, that place is intimidating. You can just imagine what this like filled up. So good to have a Big Ten perspective on that. Oh, man, we're way behind, way behind. Tigers win by 10. What do you think? We're getting there, Zachary. We're kind of saying, we've all kind of, I think, agreed that the scoring is probably going to be somewhere in the 20s, maybe a little bit less, and that Auburn might barely win. Well, everybody except the LSU or the Penn State fans. LSU wins on rudeness and loudness. Yes, that is very true. Who do you think has the most yards? Wide receiver. All right, everybody. Great question. Answer this now. Go. I think they're going to be keying off Demetrius Robertson. I feel like it'll be somebody like Javarius Johnson, probably. I don't think there's going to be an outstanding wide receiver. I think they'll spread it out nicely. You know what might be the best? Tight end. This might be your game for those of you that love tight ends. This might be the game for you. Let's see here. Game 1 whiteout was a good prep. Our whiteouts are a little bit different. Probably not as intense. I find that it's funny that Penn State uses their whiteout for a non-conference game. I get that. It really does feel a little counterintuitive. But, hey, if it works, more power to you. Now, a Penn State fan, I think, did write in one of our videos today that they're 8-8 with this whiteout thing. So it's kind of like, is it really working? I don't know. We'll find out. What happened to the freshman we got, number 44? Haven't seen him play much. I think his name is Lee Hunter. Well, he's a freshman. And the guys that are producing on the defensive line have shown up and have taken the ball and run with it. I think the fact that you're not seeing Lee, maybe that's not a good thing for him. That's a good sign for us. The fact that we're not having to rely on freshman talent. I want Lee to come in and get himself figured out, get himself shored up to be the future at that position. I grew up in Auburn, lived 2 miles from Jordan-Hare. You could hear the crowd during the games from my house. Yeah, it's an incredible environment too. I can't wait for Penn State to come there, right? That'll be fun. Let's see here. It's already a great atmosphere, but whiteout leaves your ears ringing. We hype every whiteout game like this through, though it's like a holiday at this point. So we got another Penn State fan here. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really cool thing. So I hope whenever Penn State fans hear us talking about whether this is going to be something that truly affects Auburn or not, it's not us disrespecting it. It's just simply saying, hey, we've seen stuff like this before. You ever heard of the blackout? Georgia, they try to make it like you're whiteout, but it pales in comparison. Well, the concept is still the same, and it's still pretty unique and gimmicky. I wouldn't call this a gimmick, though. This is something that you guys kind of made uniquely your own. Let's see here. Auburn wins 30-10. Runs all over Penn State. Bo shows improvement. I hope so. I really do. I'm just not sold on it yet. How about this? Let me try to catch up here in most of these questions. I might have to skip over a bunch of them, so I do figure that. But let's get to a point where we start asking these hard questions here about how many really truly does what's the score going to look like. Hunter gets a receiving touchdown. That may be possible. Yes. Ground floors here. Good to see you. It's going to be hard for Penn State to run on us. That is a one true thing there, that they have not shown a ability to run yet. Let's not give them a reason to run on us right now. Quentin, do you think this is Bo Nix's last year? Yes, I do. And not because he's going to have a bad year, and not because he is not capable of being the quarterback long term. I think the guy getting married, he's engaged, if you didn't know. And I think if he has a good enough year, he says, I'll take whatever draft stock I have, go to the NFL, learn under somebody, and then start my life. I think he's at that point, just kind of feeling the situation out. I have no reason to think that. It's just kind of how I'm feeling about it. Yes, Kenneth, I say thank you as well to Penn State fans for hanging out here. All right. Here's what I want you to do for me right now. Help me make my score. How many points, not a score, how about this? No. How many yards total does Auburn give up to Penn State? How about that? Give me how many yards Auburn gives up to Penn State. Right now, you post that. I'm going to think about it for a second. And I'll remind you while I'm doing that, you can call in if you want to. I know nobody's taking advantage of it yet, but you can if you'd like to. Click on that link, and we can talk about it. Thank you for the kind words, Quinn. All right, we've got 250, 300, 250, 260, 301, 247, 260, 220 passing just off Dotson's big plays, 85 rushing. So we're saying about 305 there if I'm doing my math correctly. You know, math is hard. 260, I think we said that earlier. 210, 220. All right, so it looks like most everybody agrees we're going to fall somewhere. I'm going to say an average of 260 yards. Does that sound okay? Can everybody get on board and say that we're going to give up 260 yards at least? Give or take a few. So I think if Auburn only gives up under 300 yards, which is possible, I think the score for Penn State would probably sit somewhere in the 20 region, the 17 region. I also think, I don't know, I'm questioning it right now, guys. Way less. 300, we unleash our minigun of running backs. Possible. I think I would not be surprised to see them breach 300, but I'd also not be surprised to see them stay below 300. With that in mind, I'm going to say 17 is the number that feels good for me for Penn State right now. Does it, though? Because that means 2 touchdowns and a field goal. It leaves out a little bit of a mistake. I'm going to say 20. I'm just going to say 20 personally. I'm second guessing myself. 20. All right. How many yards does Auburn have offensively? Post that now. You got faith in the defense. Penn State has no running backs, but they have a great quarterback, from what I'm told. Penn State at 17. I think 17 to 20. I'm kind of feeling like 19, but I don't know how you get there, minus a ton of field goals, and I don't think that's going to happen. 600, 375, 3,782. If we score that many yards or have that many yards, we've won every game. 462, 550, 500, 360. I will say this. I'm more confident that Auburn can get over 400 yards than Penn State can get over 300. And by that point, yardage really doesn't determine who's going to win this game. It matters what you do with that yardage. Gavin says 350. So if you're saying 350 as a Penn State fan, and we're saying we'll only give up, let's just say 300 for argument's sake, that kind of leans to what we're all suspecting here. A very close game down to the wire by a touchdown or a field goal for somebody. 20 feels right. I'm going to sit at 20 points for Penn State. So with that in mind, everybody drop your final scores right now. Points for Auburn, points for Penn State, and I'll give you mine. You guys are helping me make my decision right now. Auburn has 330 pass or an offense, more rushing than passing, probably so. We get a pick 6 in the first quarter. I hope so. I really do. Let's see here. Turnover difference is 2. If the turnover difference is 2, Auburn's won the game. If it's the other way, Penn State's won the game. That's going to be a big, big thing there. All right, we got 30 to 20 Auburn, 38 to 34. Wow, that's a high-scoring game. Auburn. Let's see, I'm backing up here. Have you watched our defense? I think it's going to be in the teens. Yes, I've watched our defense against mediocre teams. I want to see what they do against a Power 5. 28, 21, 28, 17. PSU says -7 in Vegas. They're the home team. They're going to be the favorite in the numbers and stuff like that. 14 to 28 Auburn. That's a weird way of writing it. 28 to 17. Wow, so many little things here. 28, 23, 19 to 17. See, I wanted to write 19 spooky for their score, but like that means you've got to get a touchdown, field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal. It could happen. 19 could be the score for them. I know you were reversing that, but that could be it right there. All right, lots of other scores. I'm not going to get to all of them. Vegas is dumb. Vegas is dumb. Regardless, I'm just kidding. If you're into that, then hey, you know. Did you realize Auburn got a kick 6 against Alabama? I did. Wasn't it amazing? 21-17 Penn State. Fair. Not mad at that if that happens. 7-6. Oh no. Oh no. You'd rather win close than blow them out. I think so too. I know that feels weird to say that, but doesn't it feel poetic if that happens? All right. So with that in mind, you guys can keep posting them in there right now. A lot of you have just got here. We're having a great crowd tonight, 65 points. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't, if you enjoy this type of content. With that in mind, I've said that Penn State's going to score 20. I'm going to say Auburn wins the game 24-20. That means Auburn scores 3 touchdowns, and one of those I think is going to be a defensive touchdown. And there's going to be, it's probably one of those scenarios where you know, we're tacking on. It's probably 21-20 at the end of the game when we tack on a field goal at the end. 24-20. You heard it here first. That is my official statement. So, Penn State fans, you can come back on one of our live streams and say, hey, remember that score? You were wrong. Ha 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 ha. You can do that. Just say it to me and I will take it because I dished it out. But if we win and I get that score right, I'll be very happy. Am I going to the game? No, I will not be able to go to the game. I wanted to. Many reasons why I couldn't go, but it was something I was hoping to happen this year. Poetic is beating the snot out of him. Yeah, that would be. But hey, you know. Will Auburn. Oh, Salvatore. Oh, I remember Salvatore from our comments here in the video. He loves being objective about his Penn State Nittany Lions. Will Auburn score 10 points? Yes, Auburn will score 10 points. And you can come back on the live stream and point and laugh at me if I'm wrong. But we will score plenty over 10 points. Now, it may only be 20, but we'll double that up. And probably going to eat my words for that. All right. I know I missed a ton of you guys' comments and questions throughout this. Last thing you want is an inflated ranking and everyone knowing what's up. I kind of agree with that, Chris. I really do. I really think that I would like for us to not jump up too high and have the expectations too high going into LSU and Georgia. I think the sweet spot for Auburn is sitting just outside the top 10 and using those to catapult into the top 10. Penn allowed Ball State in the end zone multiple times. They did, but hey, listen. I would probably say Ball State is probably better than Alabama State. I will say that Ball State is better than Akron. So there's that to consider as well. I'm not going to be unfair with all this thing. You see better running backs at all right, now I can't take you serious, Salvatore. Now I know you're not objective whatsoever. Oh, my goodness. John Stokes, what's going on, man? If you were here earlier, I missed you. I'm sorry, but I want to give you a shout out as a channel member. By the way, if you are a channel member or a Booster Club member and I haven't given you a shout out yet, please let me know. There's a lot of people here tonight. Want to give you guys shouts out where I can. Corey, I try to provide good discussion. I don't always do a great job of it, but I'm glad you seem to enjoy it. Who do we play for the conference opener? That would be Kyle, brain fart, LSU. So it'll be Georgia State, LSU, Georgia, and then Arkansas, I feel like, is that after that. Ball State won the MAC last year, and we had our third team out there at the time, I believe. I'm giving you credit, Gavin, for Ball State. I would say that Ball State was much better than both of our opponents that we played, that we played thus far. Who's practiced though? Yeah, that was funny. That was seniors, my friend, do not equate to better running backs. Oh man, that man made me laugh hard. Yes, this has been a great group tonight. You guys have been awesome. And listen, I know a lot of you Auburn fans are going to head over to War Report, who goes on live after me. Please do tell them we say hello and War Eagle. All right. You got like 5 minutes left. Get your last minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttal, objective statements from the Penn State fan. I hope you know I'm just picking at you, friend. But you kind of set it up for me to pick at you a little bit. Only thing I'm worried about is the offensive line and the crowd noise first road game, but I think Coach Harsin got them boys right. I think so as well, too. All right, I'll take your last minute comments and questions. Before you get out of here, please smash that like button. If you haven't, please consider becoming a channel member. $1 is all it takes. The join button, check out the link in the chat window, description, all those links down there. You want to take that a step further, become a Booster Club member over at patreon.com/E2C Network. You can do that as well. Thank you to so many of our channel members and our Booster Club members who help make this possible. And you guys allow me to do this as my day job now. You guys are awesome. And I hope that I am giving you back as much as you guys have given to me. And you are an incredible group of Auburn fans, even you Rogue fans from Penn State. Oh, Salvatore. I can't even show that score because that's so ridiculous. But yes, thank you guys so much. Do all those things for me. Or just check them out. And we just appreciate you being here and at least smashing the like button if you enjoyed this one. You're late, but we'll beat them 31-10. Now, don't be Salvatore. Don't be Salvatore. Don't be like him. We're not going to win by that much. Did they? I don't think they played for their conference championship. No. They were playing to get into their conference championship last year. Still, though, the SWAC versus the MAC, that's far superior. I'm going to be on the Penn State side there. Can I get a shout out? Another shout out like that other vid? Don't remember that one. Communication's the key. Stan, what's going on, man? Channel member. Thanks for being here. Got here a little late, but hey. Yes, Gavin, take it easy. I hope we are hoping this is going to be an amazing game, worthy of the hype that is built up around it. I really think that we're going to have a quality game, one that all of college football is going to be checking into and excited about. And I hope that you guys are. I hope Penn State fans are ready. I hope you, the Auburn fans, are ready. It's going to be an incredible environment. I'm super jealous of all of you guys that are going to be there, and I can't be. It's going to be awesome. All right. You're watching. Oh, Breaking Bad's more important than this, huh? Okay, I see how it is. I'm kidding. All right, guys. I think we're going to cut it off right there. Great stream tonight. You guys are the best. Auburn's the best. Penn State's Thank you to a lot of the Penn State fans who popped in here and hung out with us a little bit tonight. You guys have been a lot of fun, even you very objective ones. And we hope that we'll see you again on another live stream, whether you can gloat or you can just take your own lumps after we win the game. It's been fun. Smash that like button on the way out. War Eagle.